Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Douglas County Board of Commissioners Work Session, Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. We will now call this meeting to order. First off, we will ensure that we have a quorum to discuss matters of the county, starting with District 2 Commissioner Kelly Robinson.
Present, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. District 4 Commissioner Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
And I'm your Vice Chair and District 3 Commissioner Tarenia Carthen. We are present to conduct the agenda for today's meeting. Before we go any further, we have the agenda before us. Board of Commissioners, have you had a chance to look at the agenda? And is there any additions, deletions, or updates to this agenda?
Is this, Madam Vice Chair, is this the revised agenda that came out?
This agenda, I believe, came out on yesterday.
Yesterday morning.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second to adopt the agenda as presented?
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes.
I would like to make an amendment. There were two items from the Sheriff's Office that got taken off the current agenda. Very aware of why. We spoke about that in regards to the pre-meeting, but some of these items are critical for the Sheriff's Office, and so I'd like to maybe add those back to the agenda under new business.
So at this moment, we don't have new business, but what we can do is take that under advisement for tomorrow's agenda, and we will get with the Sheriff's Office to see what they have for this Board of Commissioners to look at and discuss, if that's okay with you, Commissioner Alcaraz.
Yes, ma'am, that'll be fine. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Wonderful. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second to adopt the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion carries. We will now have public comment. Clerk Watson, do we have anybody signed up?
We did not.
Okay, no public comment. Then we will go into the approval of the minutes. Board of Commissioners, you have before you the approval of the minutes for April 18th, 2023, work session meeting minutes of April 17th, 2023, and the executive session minutes of April 17th, 2023. Please be prepared on tomorrow to approve those minutes. Next, we have proclamations. Tab number 4, proclaiming the month of May 2023 as Older Americans Month in Douglas County, and that would be Director Gilchrist, who will present that on tomorrow. So we're very much looking forward to that, Dr. Gilchrist. And then tab number 5, we will be proclaiming May 7th, 13th, 2023 as Public Service Recognition Week in Douglas County, and that will be presented by our own Wendy Cottle. Now we will move to County. Commissioner Robinson, do you have any words regarding the proclamation?
Yes, to that point, since thank you, Madam Vice Chair. We're in the work session mode. So there's one that we missed, which is this is May and Mental Health Month that we've consistently done, about 7 years. So Madam Clerk and Madam Cottle, can we ensure that we get a proclamation for that for tomorrow, mental health, mental illness? We use our prior year's update, please. We can't let that go. That's all, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to the county administrative business. Dr.
No
Foreman, do you
business.
have any? No business. Next agenda item, tab number 6, the authorization to accept the fiscal year 23 recycling, waste reduction, and diversion grant from the Environmental Protection Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources in the amount of $115,400 with no match to purchase 4 compactor balers for recycling at the Cedar Mountain landfill, to amend the budget and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And Ms. Hobson, you have the floor to discuss this item.
Good morning. We received a grant from the Georgia Department of Natural Resources to purchase the 4 compactors and balers. This will reduce contamination of recycled goods. It will save us money from the amount that's having to be hauled away. It's a good grant program, no match. We'll be able to purchase for glass, aluminum, plastic, and paper.
Thank you so much for this. Board of Commissioners, do you have any discussion in regards to this grant? Being none, thank you, Ms. Hobson.
Thank you.
We will move on to tab number 7, authorization to accept a supplemental project framework agreement with Georgia Department of Transportation for PI number 0012877 Greenway Trail Project in the amount of $3 million with a local match of $600,000 to be funded from the Capital Transportation Fund as recommended by the Transportation Committee. Amend the budget and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair and Board of Commissioners. This grant comes as a supplemental funding for our 11-mile trail project that proposes connecting Boundary Waters Park with the Sweetwater Creek State Park. This is an 11-mile paved concrete trail that is going to be about 8 to 12 feet wide. This project has been in works for a few years now, currently in PE phase, going through some environmental documentation. This, I think, is a great news for the project. Initially, we started off with a budget of $1.3 million, and this additional $3 million basically fills 100% of the gap in this project, and we anticipate this taking us to the completion of the design.
Thank you, Director Rana. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this agenda item? Commissioner Robinson, and I will remind the Board of Commissioners that we have 3 minutes to discuss an item and 2 minutes for rebuttal. Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I had to get my thoughts. All right, so my question is, Director Rana, from Boundary Waters to Sweetwater State Park, that's what, 11 miles, right? How many miles is currently within Boundary Waters as part of this trail system?
That's about 3/4 of a mile. That was a pilot project, and it's currently operational.
So 3/4 plus another 11, give or take, is about, what, 14 miles? And just so to your point, and this is important for the board to consider, this is something, when it comes to trails, I give Commissioner Mike Mulker credit for that, about, different surfaces, impervious surfaces, and tree hugging, and all those things were important. And the trail is something that, I'm density, right? I'm concrete. But trails are still as important as they will be in the rural part of our areas, and sort of the residential part of our areas, even around industrial. And so this project is key, guys. This is the length of Riverside, which is 7.5 miles. And then you go from there up to New Manchester area with the actual Boundary Waters. That's 4 miles. Look how long this trail is. That's the entire side of my county, all the way down, from the upper corner to the left, to the bottom. This is important. So it started with how much? 3 million? My last point. 1.3 million?
Yes, sir.
This is going to give us 3 million?
Additional $3 million.
Is this just for design?
Yes, sir.
How much is construction going to cost?
The current estimate is about $36 million.
Uh-huh.
And as the design refines the whole trail, we will have a better understanding towards the end of the design, but that is our prelim cost estimate.
Got it. And how much is in our capital transportation fund around this amount? This was something that was earmarked as part of our things that we sent up to Congress for enablement. Any ideas?
Yes, sir. Currently, we have just over $1 million in that match funding that we allocated for our TIP projects.
Okay.
And the $600,000 match is coming out of that funding that's currently set aside for TIP projects.
Got it. So overall, assuming we had $36 million, assuming we had some type of T-SPLOS or some other funding mechanism, how long is it going to take to complete this in your mind?
This trail does not really cause any interruption to any existing traffic or avoids majority of the conflicts. So we're considering the regular 24 months for this trail too. This is an extended length, but that's what we're targeting for now.
That's good enough for me. Thank you so much. We did talk about this in committee. I just wanted to share it with my peers. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Robinson. Is there any discussion regarding this item? So, Mr. Rana, I do have a question for you. So in regards to this connects us to who?
It connects the two parks, Boundary Water Park to the Sweetwater State Park.
Does it connect us to any of our neighbors, such as?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is part of a 98-mile trail that is a long-term project, basically called the Greenwood Trail System. And this provides as a link to the Chattahoochee Hill Country Trail project that has been in works for quite a few years. And this is a small piece of a much bigger trail. And in fact, we had Trust for Public Land come before us to get our support for an additional project that is going to bring in an additional 100 miles of trail all the way from Beaver Dam into Douglas County, and that connects into the 11-mile trail alignment that we're proposing. So much bigger projects are at play, and this will, in return, be a small piece of many trails in the community.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to give the public an update as to how we're trying to be regionally minded and connect with our partners in regards to the trail system. It is a much bigger project than just Douglas County. It connects us, and it's almost like the Beltline in Atlanta, how it connects all of the communities together. This, for us, is huge. So I thank you for this. Although I'm hopeful that we will see it in my lifetime, the connection of it. At least Douglas County is doing our part, so I thank you so much for continuing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will go on to tab number 8, the authorization to accept a check from the Petco Love Foundation Vaccine Campaign in the amount of $6,300 with no match, awarded due to the high number of community animals that were vaccinated against infectious diseases during the 2022 year, and will be used to continue to fund Douglas County Animal Services spay-neuter program. Amend the budget and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And Director Franchenkowski, you have the floor. Good morning.
Good morning, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. This check was from 2022. We just received it. In 2022, applied for a grant through Petco Love. The vaccine campaign was to go ahead and vaccinate as many community animals as possible. The vaccines were free of charge. And we did not charge the community to get those vaccines done. When we vaccinated 2,100 animals last year, Petco Love awarded us the $6,300 as a congratulations for getting so many in the community vaccinated. That money is going to be funding our spay and neuter program. Any grants that we're receiving at this time is supporting that program to continue spay and neutering animals.
Thank you for that. And yes, you all did a yeoman's job last year with all of us. I think each commissioner held a spray and
Yes,
neuter event in each of our districts. And the community was just like so thankful, so grateful.
And we have more coming this year.
Yeah,
More
every car
coming.
that rolled up was just so grateful for the project. So thank you for that. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this grant? If none, thank you.
Thank you.
So now we will move into business items. Tab number 9, consideration of a memorandum of understanding and IGA with Foxhall Farms, and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And this is our Development Authority Director, Chris Pumphrey. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair and Board of Commissioners. Glad to be with you all this morning to talk about this item again. Forgive me, I'm trying to get this mic set. All right, there we go. Yes, so as we talked at the last work session, when the Board of Commissioners approved the form of the intergovernmental agreement resolution back in December for this project, it basically was an amendment of the IGA to allow for traditional financing to build kind of an initial phase of the project, which includes an additional 15,000 square feet of space to make conference center space at the existing lodge, to add a boutique hotel to the project and additional villas to the project. That totals around 108 new rooms being added to the project. And this amendment was done because the resolution that was approved at the beginning of 22 basically only called for industrial revenue bond financing for the Westin Hotel and Conference Center. And because of what happened with the bond market, it didn't really allow us to proceed on that. However, demand is still very strong on the site. And so we didn't want to assume that they could just go ahead and do some traditional financing and do these pieces, but we wanted to bring that back before you. And so that's what you approved in December, was basically the allowance of those things to happen, to allow the traditional financing method, basically bank financing, to come in to allow for the financing of that. From there, we worked on filling in the gaps of that resolution. Because it did not, there were certain mechanisms and payback forms that were in there that was solely tied to the revenue bond process, and we needed to break those apart so that the traditional financing could get approved. And so we did that, and then we did a memorandum of agreement, which basically holds Foxhall's commitments in place. So we wanted to ensure that these things were going to be built. But at the same time, we wanted to recall the spirit of why we were doing this, which was that 2022 resolution that basically called for this Westin Hotel and Conference Center to be built. So we did not want to lose sight of that. And so therefore, the agreement that we have before you is basically saying that those things are still expected to happen. However, if after 5 years, which basically is December 31st of 2028, if after 5 years that financing is not in place for that larger hotel, that I think we defined it as a 4-star hotel, if that is not in place by December 31st of 2028, then all the incentives that were laid out there, the 30-year hotel motel tax, the 15-year property tax abatement, that those would be scaled back because we only would have had the 15,000 square feet of expansion space, the boutique hotel, and the additional villas. So we worked back and forth with them. Our board, who's our board chair, Mike Stevens, is here with us today, was very intentional about ensuring that the spirit of what was approved is what's documented there to ensure that we are being responsible for what you called us to do in leading economic development in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Pumphrey. Board of Commissioners, you have heard the agenda item discussed. Is there any questions in regards to this? Commissioner
ma'am.
Alvarez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Chris, I appreciate the explanation. You and I have talked about this. I appreciate the time you've allowed me to go back and do my research in regards to this project since I'm a newly elected commissioner. But just in terms, because as we spoke, I've been getting emails and phone calls from constituents in regards to this project. Mm-hmm. So there's just going to be yes or no questions, just so that so that they are very clear about this. Is that really this amendment is to, as you said, to tie it up to hold them to their commitment to Foxhall, what was originally proposed from what they promised, correct?
Yes.
And then second, Douglas County is not going to issue no more bonds. We're not going to be tied to this. In case it defaults, we will not be responsible for what you're presenting us today.
100% correct.
Thank you, sir. I yield back, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Alvarez. Any other discussion items? Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you. All right, so I'm glad that, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you, Chris, for ensuring that we got that background information that was important regarding Foxhall. This project, so in your mind, and I get it, this is probably our 6th iteration, which, again, gets an A for perseverance, which I love, the American spirit. Remind us that the Westin is still going to be expected, this giant hotel, but they're only going to build this little hotel right now. This villa and hotel, expand the conference center, a mini hotel, in my mind, and it ain't going to be 4-star, but it's going to be less than 4-star, and some lodges, right? 108 rooms. So that's a total of 108 rooms. How big is the hotel?
The boutique hotel is 60 rooms.
All right, so the new one is going to be 60. So 40 villas.
Yeah, about 48.
No, I'm okay. I'm just doing my comparison. So the original Westin was 350 rooms. This is 60. So it's like about 5%. All right. Yeah, I'm just looking at the room, the trade-off. Much smaller. It's been scaled down. Obviously, it's got to fit the current financial market. Got it. So is Chairman Stevens out there? Mike?
Yeah, he's there.
Chairman Stevens, if you'll
Yeah.
come to the mic for us.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning, Commissioner Robinson.
All right, quick question for you. I'm going to keep this moving. So from a financial perspective, from your lens, me to you, are you good with this project? Does it fit within the box, including if it doesn't make it, drawing it back? How do you feel, profile-wise?
I feel very good about it. I think it recognizes where we're at in the bond market. It allows for the development of the project as is feasible today, but it also recognizes that the county made a commitment that we are holding the developer accountable to and bringing those incentives back in line with what he would be able to do if he's not able to obtain financing for the eventual project he hopes to, build out there, which is the full-service 4-star hotel.
Okay, no problem. And the last question is, so again, the board has been very open to this project. Want to see, like, look, we're rooting, but you got to do your part, was always been my argument. Can you come up with your financing? without the county carrying it with its own bond structure or its credit, or without you guys doing what you're doing as far as an incentive, can he get financing for this? So my final question regarding financing is, in the event, over time since he's been there, how much property tax has been abated? Or what has he gotten so far for what we've gotten? Can you quantify that for us?
I don't have that number with
Roughly.
me. I don't have that number with me, so I can't speak to that because I don't know offhand what has been abated at this point in time.
Chris?
Yeah, there haven't been any abatements to date,
So they're paying straight property taxes?
100%.
Remember, there's original hotel space, and then there was an expanded space. I know the difference. So which one are we talking about? I mean, this 30-year hotel motel tax, he's been paying,
He's been paying hotel motel taxes, and the county has been receiving them.
okay, so he has not got the benefit of that 8% that we did several years ago.
That's correct.
All right, so nothing, so he's paying like everybody else on his land.
Correct.
It was not exempt from the other deals that we did that says that we could hold this in abeyance until sometime in the future. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you. Madam Vice Chair, I yield.
Thank you so much. Director Pumphrey,
Yes, ma'am.
in terms of 2028, if by then this project has not lived up to what the Board of Commissioners thought it would, what you and your board thought it would, at what point do we revert back to the regular, how we do normal MOUs with, in terms of jobs, in terms of abatement? How do we handle that, right? Because 2028 will be here before we know it. We didn't think in 2023, right, that we would still be talking about Foxhall when I came on board in 2019.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think I've been talking about it since before my son was born. So,
Oh, wow.
it will, so it's built into the agreement that by that date, if it's not in place, everything immediately reverts back to that base 10 years, which at that point, it'll have another 5 years. On the property tax abatement side, the hotel motel tax component immediately drops down to, I believe, 18 years, which is in the agreement.
okay. So I have you on record saying that.
Yeah,
so
it's
now-
in the agreement. that
Now,
you
I
have.
probably won't be here in 2028, but whoever is here, they will be able to pull this up and look at this and hear you saying that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you so much. If there's no further discussion items about this, we'll have it on the consent agenda for tomorrow.
All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you. We'll now go on to tab number 10, authorization to award a contract to Fire Training Structures LLC in the amount of $499,971 for a fire burn building to be funded by the 2016 SPLOST pursuant to solicitation 23-009, and authorize the chair or vice chair to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And Interim Chief Allen, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, Board. The fire department is in need of a new burn building, and right now we have gone through the process of looking to fix what we have broke. According to NFPA 1402 and 1403, which is the standards for burn facilities and live fire training, our current burn building is 16 years old, and it doesn't meet the compliancy needs, and currently it's not structurally sound to continue live burns and non-live fire burns. The current building right now is out of specs, and so we're looking at wanting to rebuild. And so we went through the evaluation process, and we had a evaluation team, and we reviewed 3 potential vendors, and we come up with FTS, and they were the better one out of the group that we all evaluated. So we're asking for this award.
Thank you, Interim Chief Allen. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this request for a fire training structure to be awarded to, what's the name of the company again, Chief Allen?
FTS, Fire
FTS.
Training Structures.
Yeah, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Alcaraz, you have the floor.
Just so our citizens know, so this is located over near the Sheriff's Department training Yes, sir.
Uh,
range also, isn't it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Off of Cedar Mountain Road. This burned building that we've been using, do you know the exact date when it was built? It's been there for some time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sometime.
Somewhere around 15 to 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I thought so. So I can see where, this, you can only use this facility so many times before, it needs repair. And I do remember seeing that building while being out there at certain times. This new building, if you could just take just a quick moment to just explain what new upgrades will be beneficial for your department, just for our citizens to know.
So this will be a multi-story building, Class A fires, which is wood, combustibles of that sort. It'll have a maze in it. It'll have different aspects in which each firefighter or all firefighters will be encountering when we deal with structural firefighting, ventilation, different types of fire behavior that we can manipulate within this type of burn building. So it gives us that training, not just for the continuing education for our firefighters and officers, but for new recruits coming through there also. So it's structurally built to simulate what we would deal with in the field.
And we do have other counties who utilize this as well, correct?
Yes, sir. And in the past, I've been told that we've even had international firefighters come out. So this would be something that we're looking at. This is part of a bigger phase that we're looking at as far as the training complex. So it's not just the burn building, but we'll be looking at classrooms and everything.
Okay, perfect. That's all I needed. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner Alvarez. Any other discussion regarding awarding this contract to Fire Training Structures LLC? Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Yeah. Interim Chief, how are you, Alan? How are you doing?
Wonderful, sir.
All right, real quick, to piggyback on that, so this is the current fire. So we're going to tear it down to build a new one, or we're repairing? Say that again.
We're going to actually tear down the whole structure, and it's modulated, so it's almost like Connex boxes on top of one another, but everything will have to be rebuilt from the ground up.
Okay. How many people go through the simulation per year, or this process? How often do you guys train your own team to simulate, and then how often do visitors that we, to Commissioner Alvarez's point, that we allow them to use our facility, roughly?
Well, we're out there daily as far as our own training for the non-fire, but we do live fire almost monthly, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll have different organizations. We've had Atlanta come out. We've had Carroll come out. It's sporadic with everyone tending to do their own thing now, but we have in the past been the leaders in having people come out and go through our own burn facility.
Got it. So then the last question is, to that point, we've got our own complex, our own facility, and you sort of alluded earlier when you were addressing Madam Vice Chair. So tell me about what is the bigger vision for this area? I get one house, but how many acres are we talking about? What's going to go in it? Like the FBI drives around training. I mean, what else is on there other than this house, and where's the vision going?
So starting with the last question, the vision is to really fix up the entire fire complex. Like I stated before, this is just phase one. Phase one is the actual fire burn building, but we need classrooms that need to be renovated. Recently, we had Leadership Douglas come out to our classroom, and it was basically embarrassing because of the way that the classroom is set. So the fire training area, we'll be doing live fire as far as Class A burns within the facility. We have vehicle fire, we have tank fires out there. All the aspects of what we do in the fire world will be simulated out there as far as our fire training complex.
Okay. I'd like to at some point get us a full scoping or preliminary on what this future vision is.
Yes, sir.
So we can frame it for some listeners in the future. But you've answered my question for the immediate ask, and I have no problem. Madam Vice Chair, I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Allen. I see that you
Thank
have
you.
the next item.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll go right into it. Authorization to enter into a client service agreement with HR TrueCheck to provide employment screening services for new hires to the fire department at a cost of $30 per job applicant to be funded through the department's existing budget, and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning once again. Also within the fire department, we're actually upgrading and updating our background, our hiring process as far as our background checks. And so through our research, we looked through TrueCheck, and TrueCheck is a all-encompassing organization that will be able to do a thorough background investigation on new hires and employees, from social media background checks, screening, everything that's encompassed. And I have Division Chief Farmer who can go into a little bit more detail with that.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So we actually worked with Latif on this a little bit and got some insight into them and what they can and can't do as far as background checks go. What we were trying to accomplish was making sure that we had everything from a GCIC, which is the Georgia Background Investigation, all the way through a national check, NCIC, and that's where we kind of met the barrier. So TrueCheck was a company that HR was actually kind of already looking into, so that was pretty promising to us. And so it's a very reasonable fee. It's $22.50 per person. They'll run everything from the Sexual Predator Registry, NCIC, GCIC, all of those things that would be important to us in the fire and EMS industry. So we would definitely like to start using them. We were still working with Latifah about running that through the HR department. So we would get the results, but they would help facilitate that process. So, but that's the ask.
Thank you. So one of the things that I know we are looking into doing, since you brought it up, Chief Farmer, is getting the process together to better help the departments and the elected officials when hiring on staff, right? These background checks are really important because a lot of sensitive information in regards to the citizens that we serve is available, right? When someone comes into your home or they come onto your property, right? So you want to make sure that you have people there who are ethical, right? So it's that transparency and it's that security. And the citizens are looking at us to provide that before, someone is ever, in their home. And also, Chief Allen, can you speak to us a little bit about how, are we using this in terms of ensuring that everyone who comes on board through the fire department will go through this screening, not just our fire and EMS, but regular hires as well?
Everyone from the firefighter to administrative assistants everyone within the fire department is going to be going through this particular screening, because we want to go through the whole background check. We don't want to miss anything as we bring in new people.
Thank you so much. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this? Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Yes, okay, so I get it, $30 a person, no problem. How many people do you roughly, I understand attrition. So how many, quantify this for me, how much? 50 a month?
Yeah, I actually looked into this. I wanted to make sure it was affordable. So $22.50, it'll go up to $30 if they've got multiple surnames. So there's that expense. We've got 46 safer, and we were looking at a national average attrition of about 11 to 18% in our industry. So we were thinking on the high end 70, it would cost us under $2,000. So that's what we're looking at
Gotcha. See?
for an annual cost.
That was good,
with the
thank you.
safer.
You're right on it. That's what I was looking for. Thank you for that. All right, my second question is, and again, we can have a broader conversation regarding the HR function. I understand, my constitutional officers, like the probate judge, the sheriffs, the tax commission, those guys, they have HR matters, which may, because of their authority, allows them to operate a little bit differently. But then you've got general government, and we've got an HR function, and then we got the fire also reports directly into the administrator. So we got two HR functions in the same chain of command. I'm like, okay, now I get it, but I get the autonomy that sometimes you guys have to move differently, a better speed. I'm like, okay, the only reason that you would segment is that it gives you a greater value than centralization. And I get it. And so I'm like, guys, look how we got costs all over the place for the same function. The same function, Now, this one is interesting, like, okay, we'll create an HR function, and there, you are big enough, trust me, you are big enough to have one like the sheriff. I'm not questioning that. But I'm like, okay, but there's somebody still has to have a single view of the HR to ensure that everything is lined up and that we're consistent. And so I'm for the county administrator, I'd like to make a note, this is for the record, that as a condition for me to do this HR function has to be more aligned. It has to be sensitive. It's not the way we've always done it. We have to recognize that there's different authority that's being used by some of our peers. So that needs to be reflected, as well as this what I see sometimes, we get more sensitivity to our internal general government, but for our peers, we sort of blow them off. It's not a consistent application of the HR experience, whether internally as you guys are creating it, or as we have new employees that are onboarding. We have inconsistent messaging. So I hear the culture and what our intentions are, but also see the fruit of what our current labor is. And so I need that to be addressed from my perspective. That's something that we can get into a little bit later in the topic, but this is all related because it's HR. And so I just want to see each one of these topics. I'm fine as is. Thank you, guys. Madam Vice Chair, you.
Thank you. Any other discussion regarding this item? Okay, Chief Allen, we're going to keep rolling. You on the agenda item again. Authorization to remove former Fire Chief Roderick Jolivet from the Region 3 EMS Advisory Council and appoint EMS Chief Stacy Farmer.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll have Division Chief Farmer explain this to you.
Okay.
So Region 3 is mostly Metro Atlanta. It's us, Cobb, Rockdale, Noonan. And it was established, of course, by the State Office of EMS. And it's a regional EMS council that is an at-will council that advises. So it's an advisory board. It does everything from zoning to metrics for EMS that are important. So it does a lot for the region. The Board of Commissioners could reappoint or reelect anyone at their choosing. It does run for a 3-year term, so this term would end in 2024. And then if you choose to not do anything, then I would stay in that position, or you could bring somebody in at any time. But it's an important board to be on and to have a voice in, for sure.
Thank you. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this item? I do want to let the public know this was brought through the Fire and Safety,
Public Safety.
Public Safety, I'm sorry. The Public Safety Committee as a recommendation, so we have vetted it, and we are more than happy that you have stepped up to the plate to join that advisory committee so that Douglas County can have a voice at the table. So we appreciate you. Thank you, Chief Allen and Chief Farmer.
Thank you.
All right.
Good morning.
We will go on to tab number 13, approval of certificate of preliminary plat for Colonel Cove Industrial Subdivision, and this will be presented by our own Phil Schaefer. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners. This morning, I'll see you again this evening, too.
You will.
I have a small subdivision approval for you. It's a 5-lot, 19-acre industrial subdivision. The property is located just east of where Man Road and Post Road come into Highway 78. It's been zoned industrial for many years. Mr. Boggs has put the plat through the DRC, and we've edited it, and brought it before you now. Everyone's signed off on it, so we're just waiting, hoping you'll give a certificate of preliminary plat approval so we can move forward.
Thank you. Any questions regarding this item, Board of Commissioners?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, you have the floor, Commissioner Arquez.
So rephrase that again. So it's going to be a 5-lot
Industrial subdivision.
industrial subdivision. Okay. And has Mr. Boggs stated in regards to what all he plans to put down there? Because I know that we're talking about a gas station there on the corner.
So in the front, the property was rezoned facing Highway 78 a couple years ago to commercial, heavy commercial, and this is the property behind that. So it's independent contractors, as I think how he put it, where there would be small buildings, each served by a small septic system to allow an independent contractor or service business to go into one of those buildings, is how he put it.
Okay, so he's going to allow each independent contractor to figure out what they want
Correct.
to build on that particular lot.
It's a build-as-suit,
Build as
build-a-suit kind of thing.
Okay. Okay, I'm assuming you already have the preliminary plat, has he planning, I know you said you rezoned the front, is he going to keep that front structure along
So,
Veterans Memorial?
We
That
don't
front lot?
know what's going on with the front structure. We know we've had that question on the corner as well with another gas station trying to go there, which we saw approved and then got a variance for. On this property, though, this is strictly the industrial piece in the back that he's asking for. We don't know what's going in the front yet, and I don't know if he's keeping it. I assumed that he was, since they had a falling out for the gas station that was supposed to go there. And now we've changed the code so that if he did want to do a gas station, we would see you again for a special use permit for that.
Okay.
So it would be retail now, that would be by right. And we could do that again in DRC, because we have not seen that building in DRC yet. So it's still up in the air as to what will go in the front. But in the back, it'll be independent contractors on each 2.5 to 3 acre lots on septics for their own independent buildings.
Okay, all right. I'll probably get with you later on this afternoon about that, just for a little further discussion, but that's all I need. I'll yield back, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. So I know we were doing a study. Did the comp plan update that we're doing, did it include this area, Mr. Schaefer? It did?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This was the special study for the,
For the,
yeah. So we had a special area study for this whole west edge.
okay. I'm really curious, and I know you can't tell us yet, but I'm really curious as to what the citizens wanted this area to look like. Because I know we're moving forward and we're trying to capture as people are coming to us now. But I think Commissioner Alcaraz and I are on the same page. We kind of want to know what that will look like, right? Because that area is growing, and we just don't want it to be a hodgepodge of things. So if we're in the process of scoping these things out now, the Board of Commissioners, we want to be consistent about what we put down there, and we want it to match what the constituents want, so.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, as far as when we were doing our independent studies out there for that particular area, there was a node where folks understood there would be a little more intense commercial activity. This property's been industrially zoned since '07, so it's been on the books for a long, long time. He's just finally coming through for the
He's just
plat.
finally coming through.
Yeah.
Okay.
So apologies, sometimes the zoning takes a while for, to materialize an actual structure that brings any value to the county.
And then during that time, the county evolves, though.
evolves.
We change, and
I will say, this is on the side where Chris and our overall planning was anticipating to be more industrial
Okay.
for the larger site that Chris had wanted to put together. So we are moving east from Man Road towards the city. That's where they kind of anticipated it being the more industrialized mega site, is I think that's how he put it. And then south of 78 was going to be services and residences and the kinds of things you would need to help an industrial site function.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any other questions regarding this item?
No, just to bring to your attention, Madam Vice Chair was talking about this, is my concern is that whole clearing out backs right up to many homes that are right down there, all the way to the railroad track shot off of Man. So my thought process is, I'm thinking about those residents who've been living there forever. And so that's just why I'm going to probably have some questions in regards to.
Sure, and there'll be a required undisturbed buffer
Yeah.
between incompatible zone districts. So no matter what comes in terms of building, the plat's going to show an undisturbed buffer between them and the residentially zoned property to the west,
Yeah.
just to help.
Okay. That's all I have, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Board of Commissioners, we will move to tab number, I'm sorry, Commissioner Robinson?
Thank you. No, thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Mr. Schaefer? You may have another question, I'm sorry.
My bad. I was so listening to everybody else's comments. Real quick, so I got it. So this is already zoned, is that true?
Correct.
It's already got rights, and they're just now, '07 was the Great Recession, small developers, we get it. So they're reemerging, it takes what it takes. But this area so there's a master plan for intensity over there, density over there. Now, I've got that in District 2, so I'm always looking at it from District 2 lens, like, ooh, I get it. Commissioner Alcaraz, I get it. I deal with that on Riverside. I've got residents and industrial that, by rights, it is what it is. It had a better view a long time ago, but now that the dream was broken, that promise was broken from a macro, and so now you got the coexistence of both of these at the same time. It's how do you coexist? And I'm like, ooh, a master plan out there? And I'm always curious. I'm always going to really encourage you for district folk, be sensitive in how you do that, how those transitions come. You just got to think through that one, because once it's done, it's done. All right, so last question then. So is there any action that's being taken? We're just approving, what are we approving tomorrow? What do you ask?
Just a certificate of preliminary plat approval
Yeah.
for 5 lots on a 19-acre piece of property, 5 industrial lots.
Got it. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Okey-doke.
Madam Vice Chair, yield. I'm good.
Thank you. Tab number 14, approval of change order number 2 in the amount of $90,876 on the contract with the Corbett Group LLC for Stewart Mill Road at Reynolds Road Intersection Improvement Project to be funded from 2016 SPOS funds as recommended by the Transportation Committee, and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. This is an intersection improvement project that is currently under construction. We're adding turn lanes on Reynolds Road and Stewart Mill Road, and we're also extending 2 culverts that facilitate Austin Creek and Anawaki Creek. While it's being in construction, a rock was discovered upon excavation, and in order for us to complete the drainage design and complete the roadway construction, we must excavate about 340 cubic yards of rock. That is one component of this change order. The second is the additional need of steel bars for our culvert design. There is about 5,600 pounds of additional steel bars needed to complete the culverts that are currently dug up and very close to completion. And those are the 2 main components of this change order. This was not anticipated during the design process, and these are some discoveries we oftentimes run into while in construction. So we request the board that we approve this.
Thank you, Director Rana. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this agenda item? Yes, Commissioner Robinson.
Yes, all right, thank you very much. We'll keep this moving. Director Rana, this is something obviously we discussed in Transportation Committee, did we not?
Yes, sir, we did.
All right, so this is, to my peers, this is a committee matter, and we know how important this intersection is. From a cost perspective, your words were, we did not anticipate this. And again, it's not about a blame or inheritance, it's just the nature of project management. So, or construction in this case. So in this case, what is the total dollar amount for this change order?
$90,876.
All right, we got enough money in the budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so whose budget?
The budget allocated for this project out of the SPLOST 2016.
All right, so this is lost 2016. Again, it's an extra cost beyond what they projected. And so we're asking the board to approve this. And will this sufficiently cover it? Is there anything else we need to anticipate while we're in here? I understand. I mean, again, they didn't get it. My bad. They didn't go deep enough to figure out, like, now, the rock has always been there. I mean, to these geoscientists that we be hiring, these professional services, nothing against you. Really, guys, the rock is there. Y'all can't, like, take some radar and stuff and we find everything else in the ground. This is serious about this. Like, okay, why do we keep having this rock discovery moment? Y'all know how old this era of the earth is, our country? The rock is there. And I just watch how these costs, they bounce as if we can't anticipate. Well, why can't you? I mean, don't they do the borings and stuff on ahead of time? Maybe we need to go to a higher grade of boring, a higher grade of professional who can get us deep enough that says, okay, guys, well, while you're in there cutting up and boring and doing all you're doing and radaring, get us a more accurate cost. Get us more accuracy. But I just wanted to make that note, again, for the committee's already talked about this, and I just want to bring it to my peers' perspective about what this is really about. And so I have no objections. Thank you, Director. Madam Vice Chair, I yield.
Thank you. Director Rana, I only have one question for you. That's in my district. So will this extend the time if we, do this?
While we're in construction, we strategically reallocated our resources to the other components of the project to ensure there is no schedule delay. The initial anticipation was October of 23, end of this year, and we're still maintaining that, and in fact, shooting for a sooner closeout. So the schedule remains unimpacted.
Wonderful. Music to my ears. Okay, thank you. We will move into tab number 15, the approval of supplemental agreement number 8 in the amount of $59,744.89 on the contract with Michael Baker International for design services during construction of Lee Road Phase 2 widening project to be funded from the 2016 SPOS funds as recommended by the Transportation Committee, and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Lee Road Phase 2, that is currently under construction. Michael Baker International serves as our engineer of record of this project. They were the one who completed the design and still provide or answer any RFIs that come up on the project. With a construction project of that scale, in the past, we've seen many inquiries from the contractor and coordination needs that have taken place. So therefore, we would like to extend the supplemental agreement so that we can have them on board and reach out to them if there are clarifications needed during construction. This is a cost plus fixed fee contract, so we will be utilizing them as the need arises. However, this is the amount that the consultant and the count or us anticipate needed for until the completion of this project.
Thank you. When will this project be completed?
We're scheduled to complete in fall of '24, so close to end of next year.
Okay, so for the entire year from now until the completion of that, this $59,000 will cover that if we have to go back to them in
Yes.
regards to the scope of the design that they created.
Right, and that's what we anticipate. This basically covers 10 RFIs. So if for any reason it crosses or goes beyond that, which it did on the last supplemental agreement, we may potentially need another one. But as of right now, where we are, we don't anticipate it being more than what we're asking for today.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this agenda item? Being none, thank you, Director Rana.
Thank you.
Tab number 16, approval of second amendment to the contract with Central Square Technologies LLC for computer-aided dispatch upgrade project, revising the payment schedule to reflect a total amount of $117,000 due upon execution of the amendment to be funded through encumbered 2022 budget funds. That's $91,250 for the Douglas County E911 and $25,750 for the Douglas County Fire EMS. And authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Harley, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. The original go-live date for the upgraded computer-aided dispatch system was scheduled for February 2022, with the first annual payment due March 2022. The vendor, Central Square Technologies LLC, informed us that due to some technical configurations on their part that were incompleted, that the project go-live date would need to be delayed until October of 2022. As a result, at our request, Central Square Technologies revised the agreement, and Amendment 1 was approved by the Board of Commissioners July 19, 2022. Central Square Technologies LLC has been conferring with Mock Alert to interface that system with the upgrade. Mock Alert is a full-featured fire station alerting solution that is designed to provide state-of-the-art functionality and reliability within the fire and medical alerting process. And so that is the delay with this project, is integrating Mock Alert with the CAD upgrade. The new go-live date is June 5th, 2023, and this is Amendment 2, which aligns payments with the new go-live date.
Thank you, Director Harley. So to sum it up, we haven't started paying them until this was corrected.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we're just aligning the payment with the live date and the schedule now. So all of the scheduled parameters are now in place?
Yes, so we've actually worked with our procurement director and with county legal and met with Central Square to realign the project and to have them come back in and retrain our employees, because they were actually trained on the new system 8 months ago.
Right.
And so we have them retraining and doing some other things, and then aligning the payment with the go-live date.
Okay. Thank you for that, Douglas. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this agenda item for Director Harley? Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Yes, all right. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, now, I get it. So from Betancourt. My question has more to do with technological architecture. You've got these two systems, the CAD and the other one. And so, with security perspective, is IT at the table? I heard legal, I heard procurement. Do do you have the total expertise necessary, or did IT involved at the table?
Yes, they've been involved with, the IS department has been involved with the project from the initial onset, and so they are very much involved.
Okay. So this satisfies your need overall from a functionality perspective. This is what you want.
Yes, the system itself, CAD upgrade projects typically take some time to complete, and this system actually integrates the ability for our dispatch functionality within Douglas County, and so it aligns the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Douglas County Fire EMS, and Douglasville PD and Douglas County 911 all operate off of this same system. So it's actually a great thing in integrating that dispatch functionality.
Great. All right. So I think I've got it. So, probably a couple months ago, I had an opportunity to come and spend the afternoon with you guys and
Yes.
listen on the phone and see how the thing operates from the inside. And so I'm back to what I saw. And so you got these multiple touch points. Is that going to streamline that whole process of daisy chaining over to this, over to the sheriff, or over to this, over to this? Does it make it seamless? Is this it? Is this the tool?
It actually begins the process.
Yep.
There's still another component that is actually a separate fee that would streamline everything to that point.
So is this part of it? So where I'm going is that if this is where we're going, are we going to put a framework in place? Is this is step one? Or,
This is step one, yes.
But there's another step to get to,
Yes.
because it's not as seamless as we think. It's
No.
not like TV. And if you've ever, and I've lived it, I've experienced it, and see like, oh, wow. Wow, and efficiency, I mean, y'all got to go lightning fast, but it's speed, it's the daisy chain, the difference between 3 to 5 to 6 to 10 seconds,
Yes.
right? Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is serious. I support this, so I'd like to, at least by tomorrow, take your time, because again, this is step one, but what is the next bigger phase to make sure we can get that, I mean, we're talking about life, about the speed, we're talking about seconds. So this is not just some software to make their world better from a customer service perspective. This is that go, this is that like, okay, gotta go, get the message out, gotta go, quick, and keep up with this. So work on that. If you don't have the answer now, great, but I'd love to know what the next step is and how we can begin to frame it and budget for it and prepare for it. Can you do that for us?
Yes, we actually met earlier in the year in Commissioner Carthen. That was the meeting that we were on, and that was sometime last year. The Sheriff's Office has another component to purchase, and that would allow them to be able to see the E911 calls through the same CAD system that they use is the same CAD system that we use. And so there's another component that's called Unify, and I believe it was going to cost their agency about approximately $30,000 in order to implement that.
No, I get it. And so, one more time, it's almost like there's the duality of systems. So they can't use your system. They've got their own pre-existing, and it needs to some kind of way connect with yours from a lens perspective. Let me see what's going on so we can stay on
Yes.
the same page. Is that it?
That's exactly it.
All right, again, when these decentralized to my county mission, now look at this, just like HR, you got these separate systems. They're doing almost the same thing, but I understand we give power and authority to those who can make that decision because it's in their best interest and they know how to deliver the services. But look at the cost and the structure and the complexity and the need for IT to keep up with, all right, we get it. So you've got to give weighting to this. She needs to be able to do what she needs to do, and she's got to integrate with maybe an area that doesn't move the same way. It's like, okay, but we're all serving the same people, but they all going to serve it differently. And so it's how to balance that. So I'm back to shared services, back to our HR, back to our technology. It all needs to be integrated. So you got my point. Madam Vice Chair, I ran out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Robinson. And I noticed that the Fire EMS is doing their portion and you're doing your portion out of E911. And
Yes, their portion is the BOC alert.
Okay, got you. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to tab number 17, authorization to enter into a consulting agreement with Tisha Carter to provide human resources consulting in the amount of $9,600 per month for May through December 2023 to be funded from the Human Resources Department budget with no impact and to authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And Chief of Staff Stuart Stanley, you have this item.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Carthen. So the ask for today is to approve an agreement with Tisha Carter to provide human resources consulting services for the county. As we know, Tisha Carter was our prior human resources director, and so she went into consulting. From an overview and an assessment of the department, we are at a point where we have immediate needs for some, I would say, congruency in policies between all of our different departments. After making an assessment, we've looked at the standard of performance, how we are employing people, how we're resolving conflict, and at this time, we feel like it's appropriate to bring in someone with the level of expertise to provide those sort of an overview, a reassessment of the department, and to get the department moving in the direction that we feel it will be beneficial to the county long-term. We are asking the board to approve Ms. Carter because of her institutional knowledge and the immediate need that exists in the department for us to get these policies moving forward. So we're asking the board to approve the contract. I will state that there is a 30-day termination for convenience agreement in there. So if we get to a point where we get where we need to be a little sooner, we do have that option to terminate the contract. So that is the ask before the board today.
Thank you, Ms. Stuart Stanley. So I know we are in the process of hiring an HR director, and it's taking a little longer than we anticipated. So you're saying that the 30-day out, if we hire an HR director in the meantime, we can give this contract agreement 30 days and they will cease?
Yes, and that is a provision of the contract. I will defer to the county attorney, but that is the provision in the contract that does allow. There's actually two provisions that allow for to get out of the contract. One is for default and one is for convenience, but I will allow our county attorney to provide any additional information.
Okay.
No, I think that's correct. There's a 30-day termination provision in the contract.
Okay, so if we find an HR director who comes in, and I know there's probably a transition period that Tisha Carter's company can help us with, but we will be able to cease this contract without any penalty on our part.
Yes, and we'll look at it again and double confirm that, but I'm sure that's the case now.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this agenda item? Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Again, we'll be consistent about HR. All right, so now back to that point. We've got an HR person that's come in. I'm still going to call you Madam ACA. Chief of Staff, Tiffany Stewart Stanley. Will this person's role have decision-making? We have consultants that are, or professional service providers that have staff that's within this organization under contract. And so my question is, does this come with decision-making? In other words, are they involved in the operations of, well, this person or whoever they appoint is going to be the daily here for this amount of money? Are they acting just as a consultant alone, or are they going to be involved in perhaps some HR decisions that are coming down, since you mentioned institutional knowledge? I mean, well, how is that going to be transferred? Talk to me. Again, is this just a consulting that's going to write a bunch of PowerPoints and workflows, or are they going to be involved in decision-making in HR?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. So per the proposal, the consultant will do some of the following things: provide expertise on human resources activities, serve as a point of contact for human resources concerns, provide advice to county leadership regarding adherence to applicable laws as well as county policies and procedures, identify and evaluate and solve hiring challenges, assist departments as needed in identifying opportunities to enhance operations, and provide advice and recommendations to human resources staff for resolution of daily issues. So according to the proposal, that's the scope of the activities. This consultant will be working very closely with the county administration office just to make sure that they are involved in any decisions made regarding human resources. At this time, as we stated, we do not have a director. We do have an HR manager who is currently overseeing the department. But like I said, we felt it was necessary to bring someone in right now to be able to serve all the needs that we have within the department, and that person will work very closely with the county administrator's office to make sure that we are in alignment.
Okay, So, as I heard that score right there, the only thing I would say hiring/terminating. Hiring/terminating. I'd love to get that expertise on both ways. Are you on board and how you off board? Okay, can we put that in there? All right.
I will add it
That's
for
what I want.
consideration by the board. Thank you.
It's administrative, right? It's small, but it's important. I want the expertise, if you're talking about the scope of hiring and terminating, hiring/terminating. Madam Vice Chair, are you okay with that word edit inside the scope of this contract?
I am. Can you give us, just because we're all kind of looking at each other, and I know you can't see our faces, but we just need a little more clarity as to what you mean to the hiring and terminating, meaning she will give us a process of hiring that we don't currently have on the books, and then a terminating process and procedures?
I'm just listening to the scope of work. So, Madam Chief of Staff, go back to the line item you just read, talked about hiring.
So it says identifying, evaluating, and solving hiring challenges.
Hiring. Right. I want hiring/firing challenges. That word right there.
It's noted. She's writing it down now? Okay.
Are we
Fine.
clear?
Okay.
That's it. That was it.
All right.
Just that right there. Both sides of the equation. Thank you. I yield.
You yield? All right. Any other discussion regarding this item?
Yes, Madam Vice
Commissioner
Chair.
Alcaraz, you have the floor.
Yeah, the only thing I just want to make sure that all the citizens please picked up on this, because this too, I've been fielding some emails and questions about is that this is just because we do not have a current HR director. And then when that process comes along, as Commissioner Vice Chair Carthen stated, we have that ability to, terminate this contract once that person is up to speed. So just making sure that I'm just wanting to be very clear about that, that's what this is for.
You are correct, Commissioner.
Okay.
If I may, I could read the exact language from the agreement regarding termination. Madam Vice Chair, may I?
Yes, please.
In addition to the county's rights to terminate this agreement for cause as set forth above, county may terminate this agreement for convenience by providing written notice 30 days in advance. Upon an effective date of termination, the county shall pay contractor for fees properly earned prior to the termination, and the county shall be excused from all further payments thereunder. So that makes it very clear that 30 days notice we can terminate, and we don't have any further fee obligation thereafter.
And that this fee was based on what we were paying our previous HR director. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I need to state. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I yield.
Thank you. I just have one other question. Procurement Director Amons, can you take the mic for me? Good morning.
Good morning.
I won't hold you long. Just one procurement question. Would this be considered professional services?
Yes.
That's what I needed to know. So since this is professional services, we don't have to send this out for bid.
That is correct.
Thank you so much. I yield.
Madam Vice Chair, may I clarify on that point?
Yes, you can.
There is a provision in the policy which gives the board the right to waive compliance with any procurement of professional services if it's in the best interest of the county. And there are a number of reasons why this would be, given the fact that she's got familiarity with, the board could easily find based on that it is in the best interest of the county to waive compliance with that procurement provision. I would recommend that we specifically say in the approving language, and hereby waive compliance with section blank. And I can fill that in, but I would recommend that we add that just to make it clear.
Thank you so much. I accept that. And Clerk Watson, if you will ensure that that is in tomorrow's reading of this agenda item. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we are open for business, and I want all small business owners to know that. So I just wanted to make sure that we were in compliance for procurement so that no one feels that they were slighted on this. But in terms of how much we are needing good capital, good human resource capital, we did need to bring someone in quickly to help us address this issue. So if there's no further discussion on that, Commissioner Robinson, you have 2 minutes. I'll remind you, 2 minutes.
No, this is, I'm going to go back to my question being answered, which is, will this person have operational chain of command, decision-making, or authority within the HR function, or are they just a strategist that is it's just, I mean, as a consultant? I need to know the difference. If there's an HR, will they make decisions, or is everything going to, really the county administrator has to answer this question, how you see this being designed and functioning in your mind? Because this function would report up to the county administrator. Can you clarify for me?
Sure, Commissioner. At this point, the consultant will work directly with the administration to make those decisions, to make all hiring and hiring decisions and whatever comes out of the process.
Okay. Well, will staff that's currently in HR report to this person? Will there be some, again, one more time, is there some authority for decision-making, or is this more advisory?
It's going to be a hybrid, Commissioner, quite frankly.
That's what I need to hear. I didn't want to hear just consulting. Nobody wanted to say it, but that's important. I'm talking about the skill of operation, what you're having to be responsible for, and back to, okay, but we still need the HR function done. Yes, fix the process, make us better, but there are active HR going on right now, and I just want to know how much that person would be involved. And what I'm hearing you say is that I'm going to use them a little bit of both. Is that true?
That is correct.
That's all I needed. We're good. Thank you. I yield. Thank you very much.
Thank you, but I just want to piggyback off of what you just said, Commissioner Robinson. At the end of the day, County Administrator, all checks and balances come through you. You do have the final say.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. We will now move into tab number 18, approval to forego collection of taxes of property owned by the county, and authorize the chairman or vice chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Attorney Coleman, you have this item.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Vice Chair. And Mr. Worthington has a lot of knowledge about this, and he may be available if we have detailed questions. I'll explain what this is about. In January of 2021, the county purchased property located on Earl D. Lee Boulevard. And typically, the way the tax assessment process works is taxes are owed by the owner of the property as of January 1st of the year in question. In this instance, the taxes would have been owed by the person that owned the property at the beginning of January, which was the seller to us. In the agreement with to buy the property, there was an agreement that the parties would prorate the taxes for that year, meaning that each party would be responsible for the taxes for the period of the year that they owned the property. Furthermore, the seller made an adjustment to pay for the few days in January in which it owned the property. The balance of the year by agreement would have been an obligation of the county. However, it shows up on the tax rolls as being the obligation of the seller, but we have agreed that we would pay for it. Now, the taxes haven't been paid, and the tax commissioner's office is pursuing collection action, and they've placed it on the sale for the tax sale in June. And unless we, of course, they can always take it off, but right now that's where it is. And so it would be our recommendation, since we own the property and the county is generally not liable for taxes for property that it owns, the only reason that this one is in the rolls is that because on the beginning of January it was owned by the seller. It'd be our recommendation that the county forego collection in pursuit of those taxes for property that it owns, and it has agreed to pay those taxes. If, in fact, the tax commissioner pursues the property tax collection from the entity that owned it at the beginning of the year, then that entity would turn around and have a claim against the county by agreement. So that is the basis for this request. Mr. Worthington, anything to add? Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Coleman. Board of Commissioners, you've heard this agenda item. Are there any questions regarding it?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson?
Real quick, so Director Worthington, I know we spoke, so this one real quickly is the cost associated with this is what? Is there going to be a cost?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, it'd be a technicality, I guess, because there's really no cost, because the taxes accrued wouldn't accrue as we were the owners.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong as I'm saying this, but what the bill states, I believe the last version was $7,087.
So we're talking about $7,000.
Correct.
I understand that the applicability to it. However, how much is this project going to overall cost?
$5 million or so between the county and state.
So you got a 7,000, basically equivalent of a rounding error. $5 million project is our driver services, something that's so much needed. So this is just sort of a formality that we have to do to sort of do the realignment. It's the formality of the arrangement.
Correct.
Yes? Okay. And County Attorney, you're comfortable in what you've created to do a framework for this, yes or no?
I'm sorry.
Are you comfortable with the framework that's been established between the state and the local municipality regarding this project?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Madam Vice Chair, I just want to get this going. I guess at some point we're going to wipe our hands and say we've done our part right.
Correct.
We'll turn it over. Is this the last step?
Well, this is really unrelated to that step. This was, I mean, it came up as part of the property purchase, but we're still finalizing the actual construction. Probably have a couple of weeks to go before we can really wash our hands clean of this project. But this is an important step because we can't turn it over with the tax levy.
That's all right.
Can't turn it over to the state. So
We didn't catch this.
we need to get this clarified.
Yeah, we didn't catch this. Oops. Okay. You answered my question. Now,
All
I
right.
yield, Madam Vice Chair.
So this is government at its finest, right? We take hold of a property and then we didn't clear up all the paperwork. And the last thing we want to do is have the property that the DDS is sitting on foreclosed on, right?
Correct. Yes, I would like to avoid that.
We would like to avoid that. So thank you for catching this error. And yes, Commissioner Baker, we will handle this. Commissioner Baker don't play. All right. Any other questions regarding this agenda item? Thank you. It will be on the consent agenda for tomorrow. We will now go on to our commissioner comments. Task number 19, risk management. And Commissioner Robinson, this is your agenda item.
Yes, I'm going to keep this moving, and I'm really to the county administrator and to the chief of staff. So risk management is a broad topic, and I'm not just talking about the area of risk management. I'm talking about exposure. And I'd like to know, I know you guys are getting your mind around it. I know we're in a year of, as I call it, maturity. So as much as we hear the conversation regarding spend, right? Sometimes we use the word investment. But at some point, you have to have a cap on exposure. Exposure is just as important. We have exposure for all different types of things, the unanticipated that we have to pay for. So my first question is in this conversation regarding risk. I know we've got workers' comp. We have insurance behind that. We have lawsuits and stuff. Do we have a contingency, a formal line item somewhere that deals with how do you fund these things? I mean, are there formal contracts or this just cash off the books? Can y'all explain what risk management is and what's our max? I mean, do we have any stop loss, stop gap? Like, talk to me about this, please. County Administrator?
Attorney Coleman, can you help Commissioner Robinson with this item?
Sure, I can help. So risk management takes into account a broad range of activities to reduce the financial liability and exposure of the county. And it includes a comprehensive insurance program, which insures the county from losses in a number of different areas. And there are different insurance policies by different carriers, and they insure different things, and the policies differ in terms of the the coverage, the deductible, and other factors. That is the principal component of risk management, and it's the risk management function largely manages making sure that insurance coverage is directed to the right carrier, that it is being applied properly, that the deductibles are being handled appropriately, and I think there is probably some need to review the insurance program to look at the loss, what the loss run has been on the various policies, to make a determination as to whether or not we've got the best policy in place. But that's something that we need to take a look at and can do. Risk management also applies to different types of training programs that are employed from time to time to help train employees so as to reduce the risk profile, training manuals, and various other techniques to reduce the risk profile. There are budget line items for the insurance program, the risk management department, and I think some of the deductibles, I believe, come out of the legal budget. I don't know if that's a satisfactory response to you, Commissioner Robinson, or are there more specific questions? I mean, we can go back and provide a very detailed risk management analysis with some preparation, but I don't know if that's responsive to the question you've asked now.
Yeah, you gave me my framework. I'm going to keep this moving because we're at the end, and this is just discussion, but it's important. So I don't know if Director Miller's out there. She says, do we have a line item for things in our contingency for lawsuits? I know we have insurance. I know we got workers' comp. I'm trying to get clarity for that exposure that's unanticipated, but there has to be a line item, or do we just deal with it when it happens? And so I think from a maturity perspective, you can anticipate a lot of things. You can get a table out to figure out, okay, but what is the likelihood that's going to happen? But how do we handle those things? Is we just take it out to fund balance? How do we deal with exposure, things that pop up? Can you answer that, please?
Yes, it is budgeted for risk management. They have a line item for claims, so we do budget for it.
All types of claims. Is it just a general bucket, or is it just, is it more?
Property and liability, and we have a fund for workers' comp.
Okay. All right. Very good. The reason I bring this up, and it was poignant, so I'm in Savannah. Great conference. Oh, my goodness. Very solid, educational. And this is one of the topics that I was talking about, which was important about this whole social media. And as you guys know, I was involved in a federal lawsuit regarding social media. Being a blind guy who did a post in 6 years, it was okay to go through the experience because the answer was still no. Don't control my voice. Now this is important from an exposure perspective. It cost us, the county, to fight this. I got sued personally and professionally. All right, talk about fees. I'm looking for a specific answer, so work with me. So that cost $178,000. At some point, Sam Olin's ex-attorney said, like, okay, my attorney says that, okay, y'all need to settle this because there was no federal decree. We just had to, we settled it. But that was real cash that we had to pay Denton's, the law firm. Okay, so Sam Olins was $395 and his team per hour max. We got to $178. That went for 5 months. My question is, how do we pay for that? That was back in 2020 for me. So, that election cycle, right after I won my election, they want to file this federal lawsuit because I want to block somebody. Now, of course, this is before SCOTUS right now. This is all relevant. So can you answer the question, do you know how we paid for that? Where did that $178,000 come from? I mean, what bucket did this administration take to pay that active invoice that I know we signed off on?
So for legal, it comes out of the legal budget. So, and they have a claims line item and a deductible. So those types of suits, or if anything legal, dealing with legal, and where the county attorney has approved an attorney to work on something, it comes out of legal's budget. So your county attorney is reviewing and approving those, and it's charged to his account, his budget.
Okay, charge cops. Y'all don't charge back the sheriff or any other department for stuff that happens out there, right?
No, yeah, no, it's just like finance or HR, we don't charge, each department. It comes out of the finance
A
budget
general
or
budget.
right, or legal. Anyone servicing the whole county, it's coming out of their budget.
Got it. Got out of those individual people, but not the actual department heads. Like they don't
Right,
have,
no,
there's
it's
no
coming-
line item for that, right?
Right, if it's if animal control has a legal issue, it's gonna come out of your legal budget, not animal control.
Okay. So again, I'm just trying to look about risk management, attorney fees, things like that. Like where is the line item, or are we just self-insuring ourselves? Which means we're just taking out the fund balance.
No, it's budgeted for. We estimate, we don't know, what type of
Understood.
lawsuits, but yes, we
You
do.
do have a line item that's a bucket for this, a claim. So you're calling it claims. Is that true?
Yes, yes.
Any general claims or specific, we could use that bucket. Is that true?
That is correct.
All right. But again, it's something that I'm sure we can work on toward the end of the year as we get into our, I started doing this year's, helping advocate for this year's legislation that we can address this more formally. So nothing today, no action right now. I just wanted to plant a seed. I'm good. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm good on the topic.
Thank you. Any other discussion items to come before the Board of Commissioners? If none, County Attorney, do we need to go into executive session?
Madam Vice Chair, I would like to request executive session for legal, personnel, and a real estate matter.
Okay, so Board of Commissioners, we need to enter into executive session for legal, personnel, and what else, County Attorney? Legal, personnel,
Real estate.
and real estate. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a-
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and we are now in executive session. For those who are watching us on streaming, we will be back momentarily. Thank you. Thank you, citizens. We are back from executive session. And before we recess for this afternoon, we just want to remind you that the Board of Commissioners has a 6 p.m. Planning and Zoning meeting, and we will resume today's meeting at that time. Thank you, and we will see you at 6 p.m.